Why does your man need space? I'm going to share with you three reasons why your man may need space, but I want to hear from you in the comments below. Number one, and before I get into number one, let's just say this. There's a lot of men out there that need space and they create emotional, physical, spiritual distance in their relationship as a precursor to getting out. Let's set that use case or let's set that situation to the side. And I'm going to give you three reasons other than the fact that your man may want to get out of the relationship. Number one, accountability. Some men need space because there's an accountability issue in their relationship. Either one party is taking accountability for something that they know they're not responsible for, and because they're taking accountability for something that they're not responsible for and they have no ability to fix, they need space either mentally or spiritually or physically to process that weight of carrying something that they're not responsible for. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time to build up those muscles in order to continue to hold yourself accountable for something that you're not responsible for. And a lot of men will do this because they value the long-term part of the relationship more than they necessarily value that that energy that they're going to be using in order to take accountability for something that they're not responsible for. This is why you have some couples that have been together many many years, and either the man or the woman are carrying accountability. They're taking accountability for something that they're not responsible for because it's a good way to make peace. But adjusting to that takes time, and sometimes people need to take some space in order to carry something that they're not responsible for. The other piece with respect to accountability in a relationship that may cause your man to take space is if you're doing something and you are not taking accountability for something that you are responsible for. Now, let's say, for example, that is happening, that relationship example is happening in the relationship, and he loves you and he cares about you enough to say, you know what, even though she is doing something that she is responsible for and she's not taking accountability for it, I'm not going to take accountability for it, but I'm willing to give her time to learn the impact of her actions. I'm willing to give the relationship some more time. And so, in order to give the relationship more time, I'm going to take some space so that you can process whatever the situation is. And a lot of times men will take space in that scenario because they hope that this space will give you time emotionally, mentally, physically, and even spiritually to consider their relationship and the impact of your actions. And they hope that if you consider the relationship and the impact of your actions, something will happen and you'll magically realize, like, hey, I should take more accountability for my impact in the relationship dynamic. Now, I'm not going to say which way is right or wrong. Just know that sometimes your man is going to take some space if there's an issue with accountability in their relationship. Number two, sometimes your man is going to take space because there's an issue with communication. Now, let's say, for example, you guys obviously on the easy topics, you're just fine, but there's issues where he is trying to describe something that is very important to him or that he is really tied to emotionally, and he's trying to communicate that concept to you or that information to you. And whenever he does it, there's a problem with you receiving what he's putting down or receiving what he is sending. And so your man, this will look like your man is trying to communicate with you, and you guys are talking, and you're having a great, lively discussion. And then eventually he'll shut down and pull back. And you're like, why did he shut down and pull back? Why is he creating space in the relationship after we had this long conversation? It could be because he was doing his best to communicate very clearly. And for some reason, you were not picking up what he was putting down. Either defensiveness has snuck in, ego has snuck in, maybe you're just distracted. There's a lot of different reasons. Your emotion may be in a different spot. You may be focusing on something different, but that emotional moment for him, if you miss it, he may take some space in the relationship, even though he wants to be with you. And when men are taking space because there's a communication issue, typically he takes a step back and then we will work on his communication skills and he'll process his emotions. And then at some later date, he'll try to bring it up in a way where you'll be able to receive it. And sometimes that takes him learning how to communicate better. Sometimes that takes him learning how to process his emotions better. But essentially, he's taking space to work on himself and his communication skills and the way he communicates his emotions in their relationship, so that you can receive it better. In that instance, he's taking space away from you so that he can work on their relationship. Um, in a relationship that where your man is taking space for based on communication, another issue can arise when you are communicating something to him and he's not getting it. And so you may start getting frustrated, you may start saying things that you don't mean, and it may hurt his feelings. When you hurt his feelings because, or you insult him, or you do something that he's not expecting because you don't feel like your message is being received, he may take space because it's just a lot to handle. He's like, oh, well, I'm just really overwhelmed. You may have said something that in your communication that has overwhelmed him emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. It may have just overwhelmed him and he's in shock. So he needs to take space to process everything that you said. Sometimes we say things that either are emotionally charged and they trigger like a really strong emotional response. Sometimes we say things that are careless or they're not very tactful. And even because we can love each other, right? But even though you love someone, your mouth may still say something that triggers a hurt feeling in them. And sometimes men will take space in those instances because they have to process their emotions. And even though they're processing some negative emotions, they still want their relationship to work. So once the negative emotions have passed, he's either going to say, you know what, that was my fault. My emotions were very sensitive. Or he's going to say, no, I expect you to take accountability for what you did and the hurt that you caused. This may look two different ways. Either your man, after he takes space, will come to you and he'll be like the old guy that you were interacting with before, and you guys will pick up where you left off, or you all will have a serious conversation after he takes space. That's another reason: communication issues in the relationship. The last one that I'm going to cover today is your man taking space because there's an issue with transparency. Now, sometimes your man will take space because you had a good conversation, you have great accountability, but for some reason you're not being as transparent, or he's not feeling as comfortable being as transparent with you to sustain where you all are in their relationship. So, for example, if he asks you like, "Hey, how was your day? What's going on?" and he's essentially sharing, or someone in the relationship is sharing very freely and very openly, and the other person is not sharing that much, a lot of times men will take space because they feel like they are investing more emotional, mental, spiritual, even physical energy in their relationship, and it's not being met with an equal level of sharing or an equal level of transparency. And that can go both ways, right? So either he's sharing and he's feeling like, wow, I'm being very transparent, but she's not being very transparent. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. And it can also go the other way, where you may be sharing something and you're very transparent with your life and you're transparent with your intentions with your relationship. And by you being so transparent, it may make him feel like, okay, it's just very overwhelming for me. And I'm not quite ready to share that much, or I'm not quite ready to be as transparent with you, the girl, in their relationship. Whenever that happens and it takes space, that's it's a very tough thing to handle, because essentially they're taking space when you're trying to be transparent and they're not willing to be equally transparent. In those instances, when a man takes space and if he wants the relationship to work, he'll come back to you and it will feel like you all are picking up where you left off. You'll see him becoming more transparent. You'll see him after he's taken space. You'll see him express feelings of gratitude and feelings of deep affection for you when he's taking space because there's a transparency issue. If he wants to make the relationship work. Now, if he doesn't want to make the relationship work and you're being transparent, or there's a transparency issue in the relationship, and he decides to take space, a lot of times that's going to be the space that he's going to be taking in order to get out of the relationship. Or they're going to take space to try to keep you on ice. So they're going to try to keep you in like girlfriend mode and not move to fiance, or they're going to keep you in fiance mode and not move to wife. They're just going to keep you, or they're going to keep you casual and they're not going to commit to you. A lot of times when men are taking space because there's a transparency issue in their relationship, a lot of times they're not ready for the next level of commitment and they're afraid that if they engage and if they are also transparent with you, that it's going to move to the next level of commitment and they're not quite ready or they don't see you like that. That might be a hard pill to swallow, but it is what it is. It's better to come to terms with the reality and deal with the reality than it is to essentially be led on by someone who is taking space because you're being transparent. Those are my thoughts of why men take space. Three reasons why men take space and why your man may be taking space. I want to hear from you. Why do you think your man is taking space? Or why do you think men in general take space in relationships that they actually want to make work? I look forward to talking to you again in the next video. Thank you.